Okay, good morning and welcome to everybody to our fourth Global Studies Happy Hour. Today we are so excited to have students as our special guest in today's first Girl Chat. I'm going to turn it over. Yay! I'm going to turn it over to our Global Education Coordinator, Sarah Akumi, for introductions of our panel. And just wanted to say good morning and welcome to you all. Miss Sarah.
Well, it's good to see you all here this morning. We are so excited to have our wonderful students talk about their experience abroad. And so first, we're going to have Naaliah, Askia-Green, and she is a senior in journalism and media studies. And
Psychology.
Psychology. And she went abroad in spring 2019 to Chile, and she has volunteered multiple times with our office, and we have loved having her. Mm-hmm. Our next speaker will be Jasmine Jones, and she actually traveled abroad this spring 2020 to London, UK. And that was even during the pandemic she was there. And she's a in interdisciplinary studies. And she's also a member of Alpha Lambda Delta National Honor Society. And after graduation, she wants to attend law school at North Carolina Central University and hopefully become a judge in the future. Our next speaker will be Taylor Johnson, and she went abroad in spring 2019 to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and she is a senior in social work, and she's a part of the social work club, and she wants to pursue a career in the legal field to defend children who have been through sexual abuse as well. And so these are our speakers today. And first is Naaliah.
Yay.
Yay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I miss Chile a lot, actually. It was Easter on Sunday, and I had a very long conversation with my host family. So that was really good. I hadn't really talked to my parents since Christmas. I talk to my host siblings all the time through social media, but my host family, I haven't talked to since Christmas. I forgot to send in some pictures. I saw the email like super, super late last night. But Chile was my first time abroad. And it was something that I've been waiting for a long time. When I visited Bennett back in 2014, I loved the Global Studies department and how free and open students had for choices to go abroad. So I knew coming in as a Global Studies minor would kind of force me to go abroad. So I was really thankful that I chose that decision to do the minor. I learned so much. I'm still talking to all my American friends and Chilean friends that I met there. I have like 4 or 5 different group chats with everybody. And it was a beautiful experience, getting to be fully immersed in a different culture with a different language, Spanish classes every day. Mondays through Thursday. We have Fridays off, but I took Spanish my entire time in Chile. And I think that was very important for me because I hadn't taken Spanish classes since high school. And when I came to Bennett for my foreign language requirement, I did Arabic for a year. So I hadn't had any type of Spanish for almost 3 or 4 years. So going abroad and having to fully learn Spanish every day was very helpful with my acclimation to the country. And just overall communication with my host family and with my peers there. I miss the mountains. Santiago, surrounded by mountains, and it was so beautiful. And my comuna, where we lived, was about 10 or 15 minutes away from the base of a mountain that's closer to the Andes side. So I literally saw mountains every time I woke up and looked out my window, and it was beautiful. I did a lot of firsts. I went whitewater rafting for the first time, zip lining for the first time. I hiked through the Andes Mountains. I saw a waterfall for the first time, which was so beautiful. We did trips. The thing I love about CIEE and Taylor and my specific program was the open campus. And that meant each block, we were both there for 3 blocks. So each 6 weeks, you had the option to go to a different country or to stay in Chile. And I stayed in Chile all 3 blocks. So we went on a study tour, each block, first the middle end of each block. And I got to visit the south, the north, and the valley areas of Chile, and basically just experience Chile as a whole throughout my entire experience. And what's different between our south and north is their south is cold and their north is hot, and the desert areas. And I was actually able to visit the Atacama Deserts, which is the driest desert in the entire world. And I thought it was the Sahara Desert, but it's really actually located in Chile. And I rode down a sand dune in the desert. So it was just the experiences that I got are still very vivid in my head. I really miss it. I want to go back and visit Chile. It was a beautiful experience.
So one question I had as you were talking, I love that you mentioned that you're still in contact with your host family.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about your decision, because I imagine they offered you, you could stay in an apartment or you could stay with a host family. So talk about that decision, and how did the host family influence your progression in speaking Spanish?
So my experience with host families was different than Taylor's. And the options, I actually did not have an option to live in an apartment or go to a host family. And I think that's because of how it is economically, and there's certain areas where it was for home living. And our classes were downtown in a section of Universidad de Santiago. So it would have been a really big stretch going from it was already a stretch coming from my communion with my host family to downtown, but it would have been worse on my own. And I'm actually very thankful we didn't have that choice, because I'm very family oriented, and I think me being on my own would have made the experience a lot more secluded and more homesick. My host family was amazing. So it was a big house. I had my 2 host parents, I had my 2 Chilean siblings, and then I had Ellie, who is from Illinois. She was in my specific program, but she only stayed in Chile for the first block. So we were only together in the house for a month. And I had another host sister who is from Maine, who goes to college in Boston, actually, which was really cool. And she was in a different program than I was. She was in Chile for an entire year. So when my semester started, she was on a winter break in Guatemala doing an internship. So I hadn't met her for my first month and a half until she came back to Chile. And then it was a full house, and we have 3 dogs. So when it comes to language, my host dad, he was very understanding of the language barrier. And it coincidentally, which was so crazy to me, he worked for Sony, and he used to travel from Chile to Miami, from Chile to Raleigh. So him and my host mom used to live in Cary, Raleigh, Durham area, which was like, it was so crazy to me. So he was very understanding with the language barrier. My first 2 months, they were very okay with me speaking English in the house, but when it came to dinner time, I would have to start implementing speaking in Spanish. So throughout my whole time there, it was a struggle. I would say a couple of words, or most of the time I would just be quiet and kind of take it all in, because Chileans speak very, very fast. So I would literally sit, and the little bit of Spanish that I did remember, I would pick up, and I would start to learn the slang and kind of see how they interacted with shorthand Spanish. And then I would start to slowly say grace at dinner, or when I asked for something, I would start to say it in Spanish. And then there's a time where we're having a big cook with our family friends, and we're just all speaking in Spanish. It got to that point. So I think my host family's like letting me wean into speaking only Spanish was very helpful for me. That the household and the class honestly were the most places that I spoke Spanish. And then my peers, like my Chilean peers, really, really helped me pick up like the slang and just feeling comfortable with speaking Spanish, even though like I was bad at it. I had some friends who went to Universidad de Chile, like the main one, and we would go to their university the day, and we would all just hang out on the quad, and they were very interested in learning English, and I was very interested in learning Spanish, so it was a nice open space of messing up and trying to figure out what we actually want to say.
Wonderful.
May I ask a question? This is Gwen.
Yes.
What would you say was the most valuable part of this experience for you as a future professional in your field?
That's a great question. My host had actually said something similar to me in terms of like my experience and going into my professional life. We had a lot of conversations late nights about what I wanted to do after college and just my goals and aspirations. And honestly, my experience in Chile solidified my ability to adapt to different situations, to adapt to spaces that I'm uncomfortable in, or that I don't feel is my best space. I learned how to make those spaces I didn't feel comfortable in my space, and kind of take it. I honestly, and then it opened up a different world of understanding. For me, I had a moment where and it's like, you know, we all talk about the great happy thing, but I had a moment halfway through my trip where I was at a friend's house and I was leaving early in the morning, and Chile's traffic is so bad that in the morning time for at least 2 or 3 hours, traffic goes only in one direction on both sides of the road. So I wasn't able to catch my normal bus to get to my house. I would have to take the metro. And my metro card had just ran out of and basically I was out of money. I didn't have a full amount of money on my card, and I couldn't get any help, and my phone was dead. So I was getting very frustrated with myself and with the workers in the metro who weren't understanding the language barrier and trying to help. And I got just so frustrated. And I had to take a second to stop, to reevaluate, and to be able to be like, okay, you can't understand them and they can't understand you, and that's not either of you all's fault, and you have more understanding, be more calm. So I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, you're just gonna walk home. And luckily where I was about maybe 8 or 9 blocks from my home, which to me wasn't a lot because I'm from Boston, so I like to walk, and I've walked this strip before. It's like, it's okay, you'll be fine. Just walk home. You'll get home to your bed and it'll be cool. And I got home within like 10 minutes, and then I went to sleep. But I felt better because I didn't like react in a negative way that I probably would have reacted had I not been in Chile, basically.
Thank you so much for your story, Naaliah. We only have 40 minutes because we're on the Zoom call. And so the next we're going to move to Jasmine, and then hopefully we'll save all the questions to the end so just everybody can speak.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, Jasmine.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Jones. Well, it says I'm an interdisciplinary studies major, a junior. I studied abroad in London. I didn't have a host family. I actually had a dorm apartment, and I had a roommate. Her name was Dawn. I love Dawn. We clicked whenever we first met. Was crazy. I still talk to Dawn every day to this day. She always tells me she misses me. I really miss her a lot. I'm actually the first person in my family to ever study abroad, to actually ever leave out the country. Honestly, this was really a great experience. I don't think I would have did this if it wasn't for Bennett being so encouraging. While I was there, I took international journalism and British theater. I think my favorite class probably was the British theater because he took us on more trips. He actually took us to a lot of theaters. We went to one of the oldest theaters in London. I can't think of the name of it, but it's where Shakespeare performed one of his plays. Actually, that picture right there is one of the oldest theater museums. And I went to Ireland, but we only went for like an hour because we missed one of our flights while we was there. But other than that, it was really like America. So it really was like I was home away from home, honestly. It was nothing too much to get different by, but they drive on the wrong side of the road and they walk everywhere. That kind of was a stretch because I don't have to walk nowhere. I drive. So, and I'm a big Harry Potter friend, so that's really why I love London, and that's the main thing, honestly. We went by Buckingham Palace. I did see the Queen and Kate get in the car, but we really didn't see them greet them, but we did see them get in, and the Queen waved her hand. They said that it's rarely that they go to Buckingham Palace. They actually don't even stay there. They stay on the outskirts of London. So it's really rare that they go there. Yes, I was there during all this that happened. It was really panic because nobody knew what was going on. Even the study abroad people didn't know what was going on. We just really woke up one Thursday morning and seen a message from Donald Trump. So it was just like everybody need to get on back to where you're supposed to be. I really wish my trip wouldn't have got cut short because my second block was supposed to be in Paris, which was really beautiful. But other than that, I really did enjoy myself. What else I need to say in this here?
How was it learning how to adapt to new struggles, and what would you say you got out of the most?
Okay. How I adapt?
With all the struggles going on.
Woo. I don't know. I'm really dramatic. If y'all don't know me on this group chat, so I really think they had to adapt to me being drama, to me being so dramatic. And actually, one of my leaders, Tom, told me, Jasmine, you're really dramatic. You know that. But I already know that. So,
What is, you remember you tell the story about you booking your flight on when you were trying to come back. Like, and how you got up.
Yeah, okay. So I woke up from a text message from Miss Sarah and Miss Anna telling me, don't panic. That's like telling me to panic. So it said, don't panic. We need to get on the first flight back to America, freaking out. And I woke up Dawn and she's like, what is going on? So we looking at our phones and we finally get the thing from Apple saying, Donald Trump just released that people from the UK can't come back into America. So we both freaking out. I literally packed all my stuff up in like 25 minutes, took a shower, went to the universe. Everybody in the universe was freaking out. I mean, in the school was freaking out. So I told them, like, my school told me I got to get back. And it was like, we understand. We just don't know what's going on right now. And we need everyone to take a deep breath, please, please. But that's like telling me to, I don't know. I'm really dramatic. So I was really being dramatic. And everybody's being dramatic because it really was just like we didn't know what to do. And it was like parents was calling off the hook, wondering if their child's safe, will be able to get to America, how's everything. Actually, when I got to the airport was so packed, like you could tell with American people trying to get back over here to the States. My flight was so full. I got the last seat and the last for that weekend out of the UK. I had got the last one for American Airlines. And at first they told me my flight was $2,500, and then we talked them down to $64 because I had already had a flight to come back home.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, she understand everything that was going on. So yeah, it really was a struggle to get back here. I didn't think I was gonna be able to get back, honestly, because everything that was going on, because it was so much heavy traffic. And we was like an hour and 30 minutes away from the airport. So by the time I booked my flight, it was already 3:00. My flight was leaving at 5. So I really just rushed to the airport and get on the flight. And it just was really crazy at the end. What I learned out of this was calmness. Because I have to learn how to be calm in panic situations. And this was really a panic situation. And I don't know how to handle situations very well. So this calmed me a lot. And now I know I have to breathe and not be so dramatic. I also learned how to adapt around other ethnicities. If that means, yeah. It really was just only 2 African American girls out of the whole program, so that was kind of different coming from a HBCU and going to straight into like kind of like a PWI institution. So I really learned how to adapt. So I felt like I made my ancestors proud. I did good.
So
Yes,
one thing
you did.
you really did. Something you and Naaliah both talked about, I think it's an interesting theme, is resilience. So learning that, when something gets hard, you jump into figuring it out mode, right? Take it problem by problem, work the problem. But one thing I wanted you to talk about that I think we don't, most of the time when folks get home from a study abroad experience, we cut straight to amazing. Oh my gosh, and it was amazing. And we had a phenomenal experience, but we skip the part because there's always a few hiccups in the beginning, right? Where you're a little homesick, yes. You're a little, there's some hurdles you have to jump. Can you talk about those initial hurdles and how you got over them?
Okay, so I'm really a mama's girl. Before we first left the airport, I cried like a newborn baby, and my mama cried also. When I first got there, I was sick. I couldn't eat. I didn't eat the whole 2 days. The first 2 days I was there, I didn't eat the whole time. I could barely sleep because it was on different time zones. And then we had to walk everywhere. So I kept catching Charlie horses in the back of my leg. So that was really annoying. It's really a struggle when you first get into abroad trying to adapt. I'm not even going to say it's easy because it's not. It's really a stressful thing trying to adapt to their learning and their expenses and trying to count their money because they got so annoyed with me and they're trying to count their money because they pounds look like quarters and they dog. It just was so confusing to me, and I just kept saying $1 and they would be like, no, £1. So that was really frustrating. And then converting my money over, not I didn't listen to Miss Sia, but I forgot that my money is worth less over there. So converting my money over at the airport and they not understanding what was going on. I actually got scammed one time while I was over there from converting my money, but Wells Fargo gave it back. But that that's really the struggle trying to really adapt. I don't think you can never fully adapt somewhere that you're not from. So I was really trying to struggle to adapt, and I was only there for 3 weeks, but it took me a good 1 week for me to adapt. I think I adapt after our study tour. We went to Brighton, which is London's capital, like national capital of gay, like they national capital gay city. We went to Brighton, which was really fun. But other than that, it does take a while to adapt. It's not easy to try to adapt. And then their food is not like how our food is. They don't use no natural, no color and no steroids and all that. So like when we went grocery shopping, you really could only buy stuff that you know you would use within 2 weeks because if not, it'll spoil or it'll rotten. Don't last as long as American food would.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So let's go to Taylor, Sarah.
Yes. Go ahead, Taylor.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor. I studied in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in spring of last year. It was an experience. I don't know why, but I felt like time moved so slow over there. I felt like I was over there for like a year. And I just, I was like, I was getting so antsy towards the end to get back home. It was crazy. But I don't know. It was not easy for me at first. I definitely, like, getting there, it wasn't easy at all. Like, I had so many problems with visa and stuff. And then when I got there, it was nice for the first week, meeting everyone, walking around, seeing the city, you know, of course the language thing. And I'm one of those people, I can't stand when someone don't understand what I'm saying. And so like I know they're the same, like I know you understand me, but I don't. So it was kind of like that. But I took some emergency crash courses on Portuguese the first 2 weeks when I got there. So even before classes started, just so I can know how to, ask for the Uber or taxi, and because they overcharged me for the taxi leaving the airport, and it was mostly because we didn't understand and we just agreed to whatever price they told us. But so I learned about that and actual pricing and how to say left and right and how to ask for directions and stuff, and simple hellos and stuff. But I also took a Portuguese class with CIEE during my first block. Yeah, I got sick. I really wanted to go home. It was really different because over here, I could just go to the doctor and 9 times out of 10, they can tell me what's wrong and everything will be okay. I went to like 4 doctors over there. I was sick. Nobody could tell me anything. I just gave up. I was like, at this point, I just deal with it and I'll figure it out when I get home. Stuff like that happened. So it definitely wasn't easy when I first got there. But towards my second month, was definitely the best block I had. I had worked and did an internship at an NGO there called Sada Crianza, which is basically children's health. And their holistic approach to helping out sick children. So they'll take, sick kids that are being referred to them from hospitals that parents can't afford certain things or their house is inadequate and stuff. Because I felt for the housing.
So hold on
Found
one
that really
second,
interesting.
Taylor. So you guys, we're gonna, it's about to time us out. If you click on that same link again, I'm gonna reopen it. And I apologize that we're still on, we still have the 40-minute limit. So Taylor, take us out.
Okay. Well, I can. Okay, my phone's about. Okay. Well, like I was saying, it was just really hard. But being in Brazil definitely taught me about cultural competency and being aware of my surroundings. I too struggled to get back. My visa was coming back rolled and nulled when I was trying to fly back in.
Me too.
Yes, and I couldn't understand. And I was sitting in the federal police station in the airport. My flight was leaving in an hour. I'm like, I have to go. Like, I can't miss this flight. Are you gonna give me a new flight? And they're just looking at me because no one can understand what I'm saying, which was strange because when I was leaving, the man spoke to me in English. So I don't know if he was acting like he could understand what I was saying and didn't care, or so. But overall, it was a beautiful experience. I'm still in contact with mostly everybody I stayed in a student housing.
Would you go again?
Most definitely. I want to go back.
Would you do a host family or stay in the dorm?
This time around, I would definitely do a host family because I would go to my friends' host family's house when they would cook dinner and lunch, and I would be so jealous because the food would be so good, and I would have to go out and buy my food. And they had free laundry. Absolutely loved my experience. I loved everybody I was with. I loved meeting people from across the U.S. If we can meet all the way in Brazil, we can definitely meet in the U.S. So there's plan to meet us with my friends. I'm still in contact with people from the NGO, with doing some other volunteering services and all of that. Absolutely love my experience. Of course, it was rocky at first, especially the first block, but you stick with it and you just learn from them and it'll be nice and smooth.
So go back to your experience, because you had a really special experience with that NGO, and talk about the family and the house and all of that. So we got to decide what department and the NGO we wanted to focus on for our project. And some chose the vocational training where they taught mothers and stuff train a trade so they can work. And I know the other person focused on the whole approach, the whole holistic approach and how that worked. I focused on the housing development program after meeting with the legal team, which basically they focused on making sure the house fit the needs of the child. So I basically got to work on a house, and I'm waiting for pictures for when they're done. But so I went out to the neighborhood and I saw the house that they were living at now and assessed it, and then assessed what needed to be done for the child. She had asthma problems and a hole in her throat and some other health problems that you had to fit that house need for the child, not for the parent. So that was interesting just to see how, they live and to see how, I'm not going to say how drugs are normalized, but the use of drugs are normalized in these type of societies and neighborhoods and stuff. It was definitely a different experience because in favelas, they don't have running water and they don't have electricity. So they make their own running water and electricity. And it's so creative how they make it across these rivers that flow through them and stuff. And I just think it was so interesting.
Yeah.
Let's open it up for questions for Taylor.
Questions?
Hi, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Oh,
you.
okay. So actually, my question is Taylor and the other students, wonderful students that we have. Thank you. You make us look really good. What I was wondering, you shared some really powerful stories that can just, just educate a lot of people about the world and the different cultures and what you've experienced. Just really, really powerful. But I have a question that I actually typed in earlier because your experiences are so diverse, and each one of them is just really rich. Have you thought about maybe getting together and writing an article to publish in a journal just to share these experiences? I'm just really impressed with your stories. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll answer that one. I like what the Global Studies Department is doing with her story and highlighting different Belles who have gone abroad and them writing about their experience. Also, there's like a really big Black community in CIEE, which I love, especially within the CIEE alums. So I'm working with an alum, and I forget her name, but she reached out recently to ask for pictures, testimonials, and just my overall experience within Chile and with the program. I think study abroad is beautiful. Jasmine can attest to that. I bugged her about it. She was my roommate the fall of the year that I left, and I talk to her about it all the time. I think Black women have to travel more, and I think hearing other experiences is very important, so that they know that, hey, well, she did it, I could do it too. And I think that's really important because we have to travel. We have to see the world and experience everything.
Thank you so much.
I have a question. This is Gwen O'Neill. Either or all three of you, either one may respond. But my question is, what 3 reasons would you give to any Bennett student as to why they should choose study abroad?
Okay, I'll go first. The first reason I would say is why you should study abroad, not only for the experience, but how many people can say, I went to Chile, or I went to Argentina, or I went to London, African American anyways. That's just such a great opportunity by itself. The second reason I would say is, it's just breathtaking to just be, I think the most, how to explain it is, get off the plane where you're studying abroad at, it's just like, I really made it here. Like, I'm really abroad. It doesn't, like, I feel like it really doesn't matter like what you did while you was over there, besides like your academics and all that. It's just this, like, I really made it abroad. A third would be, it's just an opportunity you cannot take. Like, I just feel like it just was, I don't know, really breathtaking. It really is just something you just like, I have to study abroad, or I've been abroad. I want all my businesses to study abroad. I know maybe not every last one of us can study abroad, but I really wish that everyone could, at least if it's only for like a week, to at least get the experience to study abroad, because it's just an amazing thing. You meet so many people from all around, and then to be able to come back and tell your Bennett sisters like, well, when I went to London, I met this girl from here, or I met this person from here. It's just really amazing.
Thank you.
I'll add into that. We're global students, like we're global learners, excuse me. And it's very imperative that like we continue learning from each other and learning from the world as in itself. And that's a big push I've noticed over the years with Bennett, is like we're globally minded, we're global scholars. And I need more of my sisters to really understand that. And like we pushed the passport scholarship for so long because it was important. A lot of the girls were saying, oh, I can't go abroad because I don't have a passport. And I'm like, well, I got my passport completely for free throughout the school through this resource, you know? Yeah. And it's important, like we have to continue to learn from each other, and going abroad is the best way that you can really fully learn from someone that's different from you. And like the overall experience, like you learn so much within yourself, for other people, about what you may want to do with your life. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. For my sisters to go abroad. I need them to.
Thank you.
So I have a question. You hear and you read about sometimes when African American students study abroad that they experience some international racism. And I'm wondering if either of you had an experience like that, and how did you respond?
Yes. Well, with me, I think my international racism was, they think Southern girls are slow. Like when I talk in class or something, it was like what I would say was not intelligent enough for them. They really do think, like once you say like you're from the South, it's automatically like, well, Southern girls are dumb. You know, like they don't have the good common sense of others, basically, with being a Southern girl. It just was a couple times I would say stuff and then everybody would just be looking like I'm not saying nothing that doesn't make sense. Even with some of the professors, they little comments kind of throw you off sometimes, but I know that's like how they talk. But I do really feel like it is really like but for me it was really like a Southern thing. And then also it was really like being African, like it was maybe like 2 African Americans out of the whole program. So it just really was a struggle. I didn't even talk to the African American girl. I only talked to Dawn the whole time I was there, which was my roommate. So and the only reason why me and her clicked, because she was Southern too, and she dealt with the same thing. She would say that whenever she went to Paris, when talk, it was like they would look at her like, what are you saying? Or like, it's like you speak in another foreign language, but I'm speaking the same language you're speaking. I just have a accent with it.
Me, I experienced it a lot in Chile. With my hair being locked, my body type. It was summer for the majority of the time that I was there. So we were in a lot of like looser clothes, a lot of clothes that showed our legs. And they have a lot of racism within Chileans with lighter skinned Chileans and darker skinned Chileans. And typically the darker skinned ones are more outside, or traditionally, or it's not the word I want to use, but commonly known as like the nannies and people who do housework and stuff like that. So I got a lot of like overly sexualized things from Chilean men out and about. They love to call me morena and negrita. And after I learned like what it was, I realized like that those words aren't really nice towards me.
So what do those
and then
two words mean?
So basically, both words mean in a more PG word, little black girl, or the black girl. But they would say it, and like negrita was kind of like an endearment. They would say it. So my host dad actually would say negrita to me, and he didn't say it like a malicious way or in a way that was offensive. But after I learned what the word meant, it kind of put me, and there was a moment between mid-February and early March where I was kind of standoffish from my host family, and I kind of wanted to move, because like of conversations where my host dad wasn't really understanding him saying negrita, or actually kind of saying nigga, was kind of offensive to me. But he thought it was okay because when he was in Raleigh, in that area with Sony, like he had Black friends, he had Hispanic friends, and they all said slang like that. So he was like, oh, well, they're saying it to me, so it's okay, I can say it to you. And it was just like, it was just weird. We were talking about Samuel and he said it like kind of hard, and I was sitting there like, I'm gonna be confrontational. I don't really want to say anything, but I'm gonna just be quiet. And I kind of internalized it a lot. But then we ended up talking about it because I had gotten to a point where I did want to move and change host families. And we ended up having a conversation because my moms were like, I can tell that something's wrong. I can tell that you're pushing yourself away and that you've become more quiet and reserved. And she like came to my room and just started crying, and I cried, and we sat down and I had a conversation with them about, you know, just certain things that I was feeling, and they apologized and he apologized, and it was good. It was a good resolve, and I ended up staying with the family, and my last 2 months were a lot better because we did have that communication. But I can definitely say out and about within the streets of Chile, I definitely experienced racism. And then there's just a lot of brown faces, unless it was in a specific downtown area where it's mostly known for immigrants. So yeah. That's
Thank you both for sharing. That's really hard.
During those tough times and the different experiences you all went through, were there times where you reached out to like your advisors abroad or anyone abroad, whether it's dealing with racism or dealing with different struggles with a room or roommate issues or anything like that?
I did. I reached out I was very close with my director, Eve, like super, super close with her. And I would talk to her a lot about a lot of my issues and different feelings. I did have an issue I would talk to Eve, and Eve would be like super, super supportive, and she'll tell me to go talk to, and I forget her name. She would tell me to talk to the housing coordinator. And I did, and there was like basically an issue of like, she kind of dismissed, housing coordinator kind of dismissed my feelings. And basically it was like, you know, those aren't good enough reasons to be switched. So I had a little bit of like reservations going to talk to this specific person. But when I was having like feelings of doubts with my host family, anger, sadness, and homesickness, I would definitely talk to Ebe. And we sit in her office, make coffee, or I had joined the student council committee the whole time that I was there. So during our meetings, basically, like, we would just kind of vent and get a lot of stuff off our chests and communicate to each other. And the great thing about the committee was we were all people of color. So it was myself, Francisco, who is Mexican, and Justice, who's another Black woman. And so basically we were able to like sit in a safe space with coffee and bread and talk about our feelings and just certain things that we're noticing within the rest of our program mates and our professors. So it was really great having Eve as a kind of like a mother figure outside of our host families.
Anything from you, Jasmine? Who did you?
I would talk to Tom or Dawn. That's really the only two people I probably would talk. I really talked to the whole time I was abroad. Dawn was just so
And us.
understanding. And y'all, yeah, I talk to y'all all the time. I probably got on your nerves. That's it.
I have one more question for both of you. How would you say that this experience changed you as in whatever way you want to put it? I won't frame it anymore. But how were you changed by this experience?
I'll go first because Jazz didn't get to fully fulfill her experience, and I've had a year now of being home. It definitely slowed me down a little bit, not in a sense of like where I want to go with my life, but just in my mindset of slowing down and taking more stuff in, more experiences, and taking what people have to say in more deeply. And overall, it changed me in so many ways. I just can't put it in like a little box of how much that changed, but it definitely completely changed me overall for the better. I feel like I can go abroad to another country on my own or with another group and be able to fully adapt to my surroundings, get acclimated more easily, and thrive in that community that I'm now in. And it definitely helped, like, just curveballs come at you all the time and certain things happen. Like I was pickpocketed in the beginning of February. So mine and my host sister Ellie's, our cell phones, wallet, and transportation cards were stolen. She was freaking out and angry. And I'm like, okay, let's just say a quick prayer. Let's take a deep breath and let's make it all the way home. And then we can call our families, talk to our host parents, and make a plan to get a new phone and be able to go back out into Chile and not feel scared. And so if I hadn't had that like calmness, I probably would have been freaking out as well. But I was able to really like sit there, think about it strategically, and then proceed. And then 2 days later, we were able to buy replacement phones and then we were able to get more money to put on our transportation cards. But the most important thing was, like, we didn't react outwardly and negatively, because then it could have affected us even worse, you know, because all we had were taken from us were materialistic things that we were able to get back 2 days later. But what could have happened would have been, like, way worse for us had we reacted differently.
Okay. Since my experience was, I only was there for 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. I was only there, but this really changed my life a lot. Like I said, being the first to ever leave out the country from my family, it just made me seem that I could do anything that I really put my mind to. I don't know. It's just so much. It just changed my life so much. Like, I'm just now, like, more calmer. I just have to now be at peace with myself. This changed my life. This is something I really can't wait to be able to tell my children one day. Like, you know, I went to London and tell them about, like, where
And
I
during
stayed.
COVID-19.
Yeah, during a pandemic. I'm so tired of hearing that, a pandemic. But during a pandemic, your mommy went to London. This has just really changed my life for the better. I really wish my experience wouldn't have got cut short, but it just was God's plan. But I just really thank God and Bennett for allowing me to even go for 3 weeks, because I probably would have never ever went across the world if it wouldn't have been for the encouraging of Naaliah. Yeah, she really was a big encouraging, Naaliah and Miss Sarah and Miss Hayes and Dr. Graves, professors, Miss Fowles. I know I stressed all y'all out. I'm so sorry, but thank y'all for allowing me to even be able to have this experience. Even the president, I emailed her 1,000 times before I left, so I know. This is just such an experience. I can't wait to be able to tell this when I get back to school, because y'all know I'm gonna tell it. So I can't wait to get back to be tell everybody about how I went abroad.
Well, it was a pleasure helping you get there.
A pleasure.
Your mom had said something. Now, we have to add your mom in the good story, you know, about how she saw the difference. And she had called you once when you were cooking. And,
yeah, I don't do no cooking.
and she was shocked. They're like, you were cooking. And I mean, only 3 weeks, but your change was a big one that people might not realize. But from helping you with the flight to you taking the initiative of getting up. Like, I always have to brag about you, Jasmine. You took the initiative to get up when you saw the first text message. I can't even remember when it was sent at nighttime. And then by the time we called you, you were
10 o'clock our time.
Yeah, you were packed and ready to go, and already at the university saying that you're calling different flights. I was like, what's happening here? Like, the way you've taken the initiative and your, like, problem solving skills have really improved. You're just like, I can figure it out. There's a way to figure it out, and I'll get back. I'll just talk to the people who I need to talk to, and taking that initiative yourself. And that's not something small.
Yeah, like, I don't think nobody understands how being over there during all this was so Ooh, Lord help me. That was a stressful thing, trying to get back to America from everything. Because it just was like, soon as I touched down in New York, they just was like, oh, Lord, she done been across the world. Let's see what, let's make sure she ain't got no fever, make sure she ain't got no test. So it just was like, oh, my God, that really was like an experience. Like, I can't wait to tell. I'm gonna tell that thing. So like,
And you got on a train?
Yep. Yeah, had to get on a train that night because that just was a lot. I just went through a lot that night, and I didn't sleep at all, and didn't have no food. I literally was on an 8-hour flight, then 3 more hours to DC. It just was.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I listed from what you all were saying, becoming more introspective, more self-confident, more flexible, thoughtful, rational, self-confident, independent, problem solving. All of these are life-changing things that I think you all can convince many, many other students by talking about how you were changed in this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you
sounded like we all
both.
had
And
an issue getting home. The three of us had a little tizzy getting home.
Yeah.
My visa, I put in my application for my visa January 9th. Got to Chile January 7th. And my visa was not approved until 1:30 May 11th. And I left at 6:40. I was leaving at 6:45 May 11th. So when I got to the airport and I was going through customs, the guy looked at my passport and he was like, yeah, you can't leave. You aren't authorized. You have no documents saying that you're eligible to leave. So I'm at the top. It's like 5:40 something, and I start panicking a little bit. And basically they told me, like, you have to go find this small little office to where the visa people were and where the customs line was. The office were on opposite sides of the airport. So I had to take, and then my suitcase was overpacked, and it would have been like $200-$300 to get my suitcase as is on the plane. So we're in the middle of like the check-in area with like all my stuff open up on the floor, and my hostess, Susanna, is like packing a duffel bag that we had just bought, filling that up, and then we had to sprint to the other side of the airport, find this small little room on the 3rd floor, and then he just printed off my visa, and then we had to sprint all the way back to customs. And I was the very last person to get on my plane.
wow.
They were doing the last calls. If I hadn't gotten like through customs, if I hadn't skipped the line of customs, I would have had to buy a whole new plane ticket. And it was crazy. And like I'm bringing back like so much stuff, and I have liquids in my bag. And so basically it was like, well, yeah, you can't take this on. So I'm just freaking out at this point. I'm like, just throw it all away. I just want to go home. Just throw it away. So the guy comes over and he's like, well, ma'am, there's room underneath. I can put a tag on your little carry-on bag, and we can keep all your stuff, and you can put it underneath, and you can go on the plane. I was like, please, I'm crying, please. So then I get on the plane, and my seat is in the very back of the plane. So everybody is just like, oh, this is who we were waiting for. And like Chileans are giving me these nasty looks, and I've got like tears and snot and a book bag, my ukulele, and like a little purse, and I'm like waddling through the aisles, and my seat is a window seat. And so the couple sitting with me have to get out of their seats, unbuckle, get in the aisle. I have to figure out how to get stuff overhead, and I'm like struggling, but I made it. I made it home. So that was good.
Okay, good. We are just over our hour. I have loved this conversation. So we are going to take this wonderful session, and we're going to make a video out of it like we've done with our other Global Studies Happy Hours, so that we'll be able to share your stories with students via YouTube who couldn't, some people have class, some people have lunch, some people have whatever. But this is the most important thing that we do, right, is work with students. And as Gwen said, help students develop that flexibility and the self-confidence and the independence and the problem solving, and all of those wonderful things that come out of a study abroad experience. So we thank you, Naaliah, and we thank you, Jasmine, for being our special guest.
Thank you.
And Taylor
Thank
has
you.
And Miss Taylor, who has left us to go to work. Sarah, do you have any closing remarks?
You all did wonderful on your study abroad trips. I know you went through, you came back, you learned. It was a pleasure working with you all. I've had the opportunity to work with all three of you. And so it was just the point, Naaliah and Taylor were my first study abroad students that I helped get abroad. And it was great working with you all. And I hope that it continues through on and you guys encourage other people and just keep on remembering those things that you've built and how it can help you with your next career, and be safe and healthy throughout this virus that we're in as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm so thankful for this community. It's nice to see you guys.
Yes.
Everybody take really good care. Be blessed. We'll see you take good care of each other.
Thank you.
See you all soon, hopefully.
Hope so. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.